Well, you've heard the old proverb that's not in the Bible, the mills of God's justice grind exceedingly slow but exceedingly fine. It's because we often don't see the negative consequences right away that we start not being so afraid of doing those things that bring negative consequences, because they don't immediately come upon us. But for the pagan, the lost person, the wages of sin is death, is inevitable and unavoidable. Sin also pays lost people back with boredom. Have you noticed that? The more we juice up the entertainment and the amusements of this world, the more the people get bored. They got to have more, because sin always pays back with boredom, with guilt. That's why alcohol and substances are increasing. In fact, they just did a water test of the Po River in Italy. Isn't that exciting, a water test of a river? You know what they found by testing the water of the Po River in Italy? They found out that there were 3 times as many cocaine addicts in Italy, in that region, than they knew about. Do you know why? Because cocaine affects the system, and then it's passed through the liver and it goes out the system. It goes through the sewer treatment plants, but the cocaine is not destroyed by the sewer treatment plants. It's flushed out into the river, and there is a measurable level of cocaine in the Po River and every other river, and in Lake Michigan, and I'm sure right here in our region too, that you can tell the usage of illicit drugs of the population by testing the runoff water from their sewer treatment plants. And do you know what they found in Italy? 3 times the number of addicts than they were aware of are living there. Do you know why? Sin pays back with boredom. Sin pays back with guilt. And so when you're guilty or bored or whatever, frustrated with life, you have to find something to do with that negative consequence. And so you begin doing something in your life that takes away the shame and the loneliness and the confusion and the emptiness and the loss of purpose. And so you reach out to more illicit activities or more mind-stimulating activities. But sin always pays us back. And of course, the scripture writers, Paul, Peter, John, and Jesus, all clearly state that some lifestyle choices people make clearly exclude them from being able to go to heaven. You understand that, don't you? There are other laws. God said that in His Word, and the references are 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11, and Ephesians 5, 1 through 6. If you want to read those sometimes, those are the inexorable laws of God. And what He says, and He concludes this in Revelation 21, 8, He says, no one who is a practicing murderer, no one who is a practicing homosexual, no one who is a practicing alcoholic, no one in those categories, and He gives at least a dozen of them, will enter heaven. You see, there are lifestyle choices we make that exclude us from God's presence forever. Now, they are forgivable, but if unrepented of, they are not forgivable. And so what God says is sin has consequences. And the record books of God are being kept daily by a recording angel who misses no details. And judgment will be totally fair and just, even for the lost. And punishment will be appropriately and proportionately meted out. And Jesus says in Matthew 7, 21 to 29, that even people that through life claimed they were believers, but never did righteousness. In other words, God's operative work of righteousness. You see, when you get saved, the grace of God teaches us to obey God. And they never got taught that because they were never saved. In Matthew 7, 21 to 29, Jesus said even people that outwardly claim to be Christians, who have a behavioral lifestyle that goes against His eternal law, in 1 Corinthians 6, in Ephesians 5, in Revelation 21, He said, those will say, Lord, Lord, and I'll say, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work unrighteousness, you who have never repented, you have never changed. The grace of God has never changed you.